to this channel and I was like, young man, you gifted 100. You can buy any game you want. You can buy a whole 8-hour stream. You can buy World of Warcraft. Anything. Crimson Desert. And he's like, yo, Tommy, I want you to inform yourself about MMT. It is the most moment of the stream's history. But let's do it. Let's respect it. We're now going into a weird moment where we're gonna research and even have our own opinion on MMT, whatever it even means. Is an economic framework that explains how governments that issue their own currency, like the US, UK, and Japan, can finance spending and manage the economy. It challenges many traditional ideas about government budgets, deficits, and debt. So I guess this is about how when you print your own money, it's like a good thing in the end. Modern monetary theory argues. That's so autistic, I love it. Governments that print their own currency can never run out of money. They can always create more to pay obligations. The real constraint is inflation, though. Aha, yeah. Taxes are not mainly for funding spending. According to MMT, taxes mainly control inflation, influence behavior, and create demand. Oh, you're telling me there should be no taxes? Is this why you did this? You want to show me why taxes are bullshit? Government deficits are not inherently bad. A deficit of the state equals a surplus of the private sector, and public debt is seen as private wealth. Okay, let's watch a video. I'm too autistic. Here we go. Oh, shit. Is that Lord of the Rings music?
Let's say you go down to your local bank and speak to the manager about getting a home loan. You have a good job, a 20% down payment, and you have always been very responsible with your credit card and your car loan, so you get approved to borrow $400,000 to purchase that new home.
Pretty much what I didn't realize, straight up.
And for most people, this is where their inquiries into the bank would end. They would get their $400,000 to settle on their new property, and they would be very happy.
It's funny because they're exactly describing me. That's exactly the number I paid. This is literally me right now.
Little jelly beans. But what actually went on here? A lot of people have a lot of assumptions about where that money actually came from, and most of them are probably not true. If you really...
So when the bank gives me 400K, the money comes from... Why do banks have money? That's a great question. Well, banks are companies, entities that make their money with like land ownership, owning stuff, investments, right? They make money. Yeah. Interests, obviously interests, right? But if everyone will take all their money out of a bank, that'll be a problem, right? But it's I will think the 400K they give me are real. That's real money. It's not like empty money. But there's a lot of empty money in the world. Dying KC2 is almost guaranteed during story. If you want to play until you create your Forge Codeback, you need to change rules. No, disagree with you.
When's the next Dota stream, fam?
Fuck you. I just fought it and I'm thinking, here we go. I'm farting on you, bro.
open up the hood of the modern monetary system,
just gift 100 and buy a 10-hour Dota stream. It's that easy.
You will find something very far removed from what most people would expect, and even something that is pretty different to what existed just 100 years ago. Cash is something that is so important to a society because it is the counter asset to almost every transaction we make. We buy houses and cars and avocado toast with cash. We get paid in cash, and we pay our taxes
Pepper on top.
in cash. Modern monetary theory is a very contentious...
Dude, just that picture looks like they're the Empire, like Darth Vader music, right? That does not look inviting. That looks like we're the evil cunts. It's like it's writing itself.
Just macroeconomic idea that goes a long way to explaining how money works in a modern economy, and then by extension how cash and fiscal spending and monetary policy can be used to benefit the greater good of society. Some people go so far as to say that the proper utilization of modern monetary theory will mean that economic slowdowns or recessions like the one we are probably going into at the moment can be all but eliminated.
This is 5 years ago.
All enough,
You talked about a recession 5 years ago.
modern monetary theory makes sense of how massive government debt, like the trillions of dollars owed by the US government right now, isn't necessarily a huge deal.
Yeah, that's what I always hear and get. Wow, look at that. There's a Mossad bomber. Thank you, Kissa. That, okay, we're trillions in debt, but it's not bad. It's not per se mean we're like dying.
But of course, as with every new economic theory, there are critics with genuine criticisms. But we can address those later. In the meantime,
What I never understood as a normal idiot that knows nothing is, don't countries like America, Japan, and Germany make enough money to never take debt on? Apparently not. In Germany, they tell us, oh, there's no money. We have no money. We're the third biggest economy ever. We have 50% taxes. There's no money here?
forget everything you think you know about money and get ready to learn it all over again.
This is so autistic. Holy shit.
Let's go back to that example of a person applying for a home loan for a second. A very limited understanding of how this transaction would work would be to assume that the bank just loans out money that other people deposit, and so for every $400,000 loan they write, they would have needed someone else to have deposited.
Yes, but also over many decades, the bank makes its own money with business adventures, interest, blah, blah, blah.
$400,000. And you know what? A very, very long time ago, this would have actually been the way things worked.
Yeah.
When the world used gold as a currency, banks would really only be able to...
This reminds me of one of my favorite stories in gaming. I'm gonna ADHD here. In EVE Online, you guys know EVE Online? There was once a banker, like many years ago, and he will build a massive banking system in EVE Online. He made trillions of ISK, right? And he was very well known in the community. One day, he ran away with trillions of dollars. And the internet exploded on EVE Online. Oh, they were calling the developers. Oh man, this guy stole everyone's money. This is ridiculous. And I like how they said, this is legal. He is playing the game. You guys trusted him. This is part of the roleplay. And he made the most money ever in a video game, man. He scammed everyone, man. I'll never forget that story.
Find out what they actually had. It would either be their own personal wealth, or it would be loaned out on behalf of individuals that trusted them to make responsible lending decisions, and they would share in the profits. Similar, I suppose, in many ways to how you receive interest today for leaving your money in a high-interest savings account. It seems so simple, but, of course, these days, that simplicity is not true. This kind of banking was extremely limited and was really only reserved for governments and nobility, and we just don't have the same limitations today. There is a very, very good chance that most of you watching this video today have never seen a gold coin, let alone actually used it to trade for anything. Since the times of ancient civilizations, we have moved from transacting in gold to pieces of paper.
I'm not on Kingdom Come, you fucking morons. Was ist denn mit euch? Shut up. Fix your own issues.
That were transferable to gold to just regular pieces of paper, and now today, most of our transactions happen with digits on a computer screen. And that's exactly what happens with your money today. When you go out to take a $400,000 loan...
If aliens ever attack us, they just have to EMP us, right? You just EMP us, all over, right? All over. Germany will survive with our faxing systems, yeah, man. Put this on the side so we can pay attention. It's a Subway Surfers, so to be funny. Come on, man.
The bank basically opens up a very secure Excel spreadsheet and types in $400,000. Then hey, presto, you have that money in an account that you can use to buy your house. The bank can't do this endlessly. In most nations, they still have to have some genuine cash on hand to back up this imaginary money, but still, a large majority of the money created today is not printed out. It is literally just typed into existence in the form of credit.
But that's per se not a bad thing. That's just modern. I kind of get that. Yeah. But it's scary, right? And dude, I'm not a big IT. I know nothing about IT. But all across the world, there are cyber attacks, man. So is this always so safe and stuff, man? Everything is getting cyber attacked nowadays, bro.
This is such an abstract concept that a lot of people don't quite fathom its raw simplicity. So I find it's often easier to explain it like this. Say you are playing a video game like World of Warcraft or RuneScape or my favorite EVE Online.
I just had a dopamine trigger in my brain when he said that.
All of these games have some kind of currency, be it gold or credits or ISK, it doesn't matter. It functions effectively the same as cash that we know and love in our everyday lives. Now, the game developers in this game effectively have the power to log into the back end of the server and type whatever figure they want into the bit of server memory relating to your wallet. If they wanted to type out 1 trillion gold sitting in your wallet, they could. They're only really limited by how long they want to sit there pressing zeros. This sounds simple enough, but exactly the same thing is effectively true for real cash. But in the same way that a game developer would probably get fired and also completely ruin their game if they just went around maxing out people's wallets, the same kind of rule applies for banks today. Things like reserve requirements and responsible lending standards means that there is an effective limit on banks' money generation, but the process is still effectively no different. Now, once you understand this, the next logical question is, what makes money worth anything then, if it can just be created out of thin air?
I would say, I don't know, I'm a very big idiot with this stuff. I would say it's buying power. Gives money its power. Right? Like you have a fictional number on your bank account, but it can lead to something real, like a car or something.
Now, the answer to this is complicated.
Trust?
People often incorrectly assume that currency actually doesn't have any value. It's just what we decide it's worth, and a lot of smart people even point out that it's right there in the name. The fiat in fiat currency is Latin for let it be done, or basically, because I said so. This money is worth something because I said so, and a lot of people use this as proof that these paper rectangles or digits in my bank account are not really worth anything. But the truth is, money does have value.
Yeah.
Just the same as any other.
This fictional thing can create to real stuff. It puts a bread in my hand, so it's not
It. And
bullshit,
I
it's
really
real.
want to drill down on a lot of the nonsense that people spout about money in the modern world. A common anecdote that you may have heard thrown around is that if you were stuck on a desert island with a briefcase full of $10 million cash, this money would be completely worthless to you. And while this is true, it does not go any way to prove that money has no value. In the same way, if you were stuck on that desert island with a $10,000 gaming PC or a first edition Spider-Man comic, some Bitcoin or a Rolex, they would also be pretty much equally useless to you. But it doesn't mean that they're worthless. Even if you think about it in reverse, a desalination station, a barbecue lighter and a bow and arrow would be very useful on that desert island, but would be completely useless to you in the middle of New York City. Well, for now at least. Just because something
Only
is
stock
not
photos? Have you ever seen a YouTuber in your life? This is normal,
universally
bro.
useful in
You never
every
seen Spiffing Bread?
situation, it does not mean that it does not have value. So I never want to hear any of you using that terrible anecdote ever again when talking about cash. Because the truth is, of course, cash does have utility value in the sense that it facilitates trade on an individual, nationwide and global level. It can be used as a store of wealth, even if there are...
With a Rolex, you could probably shine the sunlight into dry leaves and create a fire.
Probably better options available, and most importantly, it's the only way that you can pay your taxes. So remember this one for later. Okay, cool. So money is actually worth something. That may be news to some. The problem is, Blitzer, this is a good video. He is doing it well. And it's going to be very hard for me to listen to like a boring man just sit there. So I need ADHD videos like this. This is great. It's not the big revelation here. What is, though, is the fact that this thing
I was able to do this back in the day.
Can be created.
I used to be able to do a lot of poker chip tricks, but I don't have anything here.
Thin air, just like we saw.
Well, we have no better alternative.
As of making this video, we are in the middle of a financial crisis. Businesses are shutting down all over the world, and people are turning to governments to increasingly pick up the slack of a failing economy. Many governments around the world today have quickly announced huge stimulus packages that run into the hundreds of billions or trillions of dollars, and this has involved governments taking on lots and lots of debt. Now, debt, as you or I know it, is probably pretty bad. If you are hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt and didn't have a good income to pay off this debt, well, this can start to seriously impact your quality of life.
One of these videos, bro.
You may have to give up things like going out with friends or going on that holiday or whatever. And all of this is because you are a currency user. You work a job or run a business to earn money, and then you spend that money on goods or services to maintain your quality of life. Money is more or less a means to an end as it passes in and out of your bank account. Some governments, like the USA though, are a little bit different. They are the source of this money. They are not a money user, they are a money creator. If they want to build a new school or a road or whatever, they just call up the central bank, tell them to fire up the money printers,
but it can't be healthy.
Brrr, there you go, cash to build that new school. And the other distinction here is that this is actual currency, not credit like banks can create. I will leave a link in the video description for a lecture on the difference between those two, but for the sake of this video, they're more or less the same. It's all just money. Now, the theory goes, because of this almost unlimited ability to conjure money into existence, there really is no reason that the government couldn't hypothetically fund anything. And to an extent, this is almost true.
But they can't do it because... What are the main arguments? Inflation and... Wouldn't the value of the dollar as a whole go lower, so everyone's investment and everyone's dollar power will be too weak?
We have
because of migration.
like arbitrary debt ceilings and public opinion that dictate that debt bad, surplus good. And this means that oftentimes governments can't fully flex the power of their currency to truly bring the maximum potential prosperity to their economy. But modern monetary theory dictates that if policymakers truly understood their power to throw cash at any problem they encounter, they would be able to create a far more prosperous economy.
You're saying that? So MMT is important. People should just print money and throw it at their problems, and the world would be much better.
Sounds pretty great, right?
Oh no, now he's no.
Less cash flow for unlimited prosperity? Well, of course, there are limitations, and those are just as important to understand as this whole weird and wonderful world of money creation.
Here comes the negatives. I feel like I'm in school right now.
The first and most obvious flaw in this theory is that if countries can create something from nothing, why would anybody want to keep this money that has no inherent scarcity? Why would anyone accept US dollars over these economics explained bucks that I have written up here on my little Excel spreadsheet? They both ultimately amount to the same thing, digits on a screen, and look there are only 1 billion of these economics explained bucks. If anything, they should be more valuable. Well, of course, this is not the case. Partially because US dollars are much more universally recognised, but more importantly of all, if you're a citizen of the United States, you have to pay your tax in United States dollars. You can't pay federal taxes in shares or bitcoins or chickens or even Australian dollars. Good old freedom bucks are your only option. So if you don't want to go to prison, you need to get yourself some of these dollars. And this creates demand for dollars, even with...
So we only exist and breathe to pay taxes. I think I agree with this.
Conveniences being ignored. Effectively, in a way, this is why governments tax people. The US government doesn't need your dollars to fund its schools or roads or military or public welfare. If anything, it's the other way around. The government conjures this money into existence to give us the currency we then need to collect to pay our taxes with. In almost any given year, they are likely to spend more money than they tax, and this is
the Matrix
fine.
Andrew Tate talks
Remember,
about?
They are the source of this currency. So that's something to be aware of, but not necessarily a problem. Now the next logical question is, well, if governments like the USA can just print money, then why do they need to issue government bonds, or take on debt, or pay interest? And this is another fair question. The reason that all extra money is created with some kind of underlying debt, be it treasury bills or a mortgage or whatever, is partially because of the relationship between the federal government and the Reserve Bank. But primarily, it's because the government wants to create demand for this extra currency.
Want to play with you free now?
If you can earn 1% interest by holding on to US dollars, it actually becomes an attractive asset to keep on hand. And the opposite is also true. If you need to pay 5% interest on your home loan, you need US dollars to pay that back.
5%, man, damn.
And this furthers the natural demand for this currency. Now the next issue, of course, is inflation. We have seen nations like the Weimar Republic, Venezuela or Zimbabwe print more and more and more money,
Nicolas
and all it
Cage.
caused was inflation.
Thank you, man.
And this is genuinely the big limiting factor here. If governments do just go crazy and print all of the money they want, the supply of that money is going to massively increase, and hence the actual value of the money will decrease. It will very quickly get to a point where the feedback loop of printing money to keep up with inflation will cause more inflation, and then your money does actually become worthless. Just like we saw in all of these other countries. To make matters worse, the money that private banks create massively outweighs the currency that is created by federal governments of the world, which means that they aren't necessarily the only ones with the key to the kingdom on the money supply, and controlling the supply and demand of money becomes much, much more difficult. In reality, Controlling the supply of cash in an economy, and by extension inflation, is the primary role of a central bank.
I know the eagle is the American symbol, but that looks very Nazi-esque. Hitler would use that. If you show me that picture without the flag, I almost feel like this is like a Nazi quote. Because Hitler used to love that eagle,
Inflation
right?
is
You
the
see
primary role of a
you
central
see
bank,
the
and it has to be really careful with this.
It's probably the
To put
ice
it
building.
simply, imagine that an economy is a dam, and the water in the dam was cash in the economy. There are things like government spending that fill up this dam, and there are things like taxation, which releases the cash out of the economic dam. The role of a central bank is to make sure that the dam doesn't overflow with cash, causing hyperinflation, and also that it does not completely run dry of currency either. To those of you who play MMOs like World of Warcraft and all the other examples I gave earlier, you may know this as a currency faucet and a currency sink. Again,
World of
what is
Warcraft?
true for these virtual economies is more or less true for our real ones. So yeah, there you go. Inflation is still important.
I have a weird question. Imagine there's a fire right here. How will firefighters ever reach that? There's nothing that can go up like this, right? Would they take a water hose all the way up? How would that happen? From a helicopter? There's not enough water in a helicopter. Really? A helicopter? Does it have enough water in it? This is why most nations stop building skyscrapers. Like a wildfire helicopter can do this, huh?
And it's one of the big reasons why we reserve our crazy spending for times like, say, oh, I don't know, right now. Now, the final flaw in modern monetary theory is that unfortunately, some countries can't actually take much.
You see that
from
dark
its
star?
teachings.
That's Hungary.
Almost every country in Europe, for example, uses the euro, which means that the sovereign nations that make up the European Union are not at liberty to conduct their own monetary policy in any capacity. This is what makes things like the Greek debt crisis so bad. If
Greek
this
debt
debt was
crisis?
still denoted in Greek drachma, the Greek government could just print more money to keep up with these repayments. Italy, for example, had a debt to GDP ratio of about
Bulgaria just
120% in the early
applied their
90s,
euro, right?
and no one really cared because the debt was denoted in liras. So it was not a problem for them to maintain these repayments.
It's a beautiful building. Holy shit.
For the same reason, the government debts of the USA and Japan today are not really a problem. Only household and business debt is. But if you are a nation that doesn't use its own currency, sorry, all of this fun stuff doesn't really apply to you. The other people that get passed up on are countries with kind of sketchy currencies. If the Democratic Republic
Sounds like
of
a system
Congo,
the
for
USA made to be
example, wanted to raise
the
money from the
king.
international community to build a new port, it would need to take on debt. But almost no rational financial institution is going to take payments or accept repayments in Congolese francs. The currency is just too volatile and not accepted.
Congo
widely.
has francs?
And that
No
means
way.
that normally these debts are denoted in some kind of reserve currency, more often than not in US dollars, which is not great for the Democratic Republic of the Congo, which is a very, very poor country that could probably use all the help it could get, but it's fantastic for the United States, the wealthiest, most powerful economy in the world, because suddenly it has even more demand for its currency, and its national debt is all that little bit more meaningless. So, yay, I guess.
Okay, what did I learn so far? What did I learn these 20 minutes? It's really good if you can print your own money. It's very good. It's like really good. And the USA is winning.
Modern monetary theory is something so simple yet so complex all at the same time.
What's the learning from
it
this?
It does really involve divorcing your mind from how you personally interact with money to ultimately grasp how cash works at an economy-wide level. A lot of supporters of the theory push it as a cure-all to any economic ailments, and you know what? With the money printers firing away just like they are right now, we may finally get a chance to find out if they are correct. But in reality, it's not a prescription to fix a broken economy as much as it's just an insight into how modern economies work. A mechanic can't fix a car if they don't know what an inlet manifold, a doctor can't perform surgery if they don't know the difference between a fibula and a defibrillator, and governments can't effectively manage an economy if they don't understand how cash works in the modern world. Will you ever personally get a chance to act on the principles of modern monetary theory?
So, Big Blitzer, what you're trying to do here with your 100 gifted is you want to show me that this is good. It's like a good thing. And the only counter is inflation.
Probably not.
But what do I learn from this? How does this change my life now? That's
Unless
what I
you want
don't...
to become a world leader or a central bank board member. But it's still important to know so you can be a good citizen who understands that money does have value.
I guess what it does, it gives us the learning of that it's not bad. It's not per se a bad thing, and it's not bad that a country like America has trillions of debt.
And that government surplus isn't the be-all and end-all. And
What if I make you
perhaps
free now?
most importantly, you have no right to complain about your tax dollars going to fund anything. Karen.
Okay.
If you have been completely removed from what currency
For
actually
example,
means,
here you can see
consider giving some of
criticisms.
it
Okay. Check this. Dude, you're a random guy. I don't know who you are.
Today, I want to look at...
You fuck. Shut up. Just go suck a massive cock. A 2019 survey of leading economists by the University of Chicago's Booth's Initiative on Global Markets showed an anonymous rejection of assertions attributed to the survey to MMT. Countries that borrow in their own currency should not worry about government deficits because they can always create money to finance their debt. And countries that borrow their own currency can finance as much real government spending as they want. The post-Keynesian economist, Thomas Pelly has stated that MMT is largely a restatement of elementary Keynesian economics. I'm fucking gone already. But prone to oversimplistic analysis and understanding the risks of its policy implications. Pelly has disagreed with proponents of MMT who have asserted that standard Keynesian analysis does not fully capture the accounting identities and financial restraints. Okay, I'm too dumb for this. No. Okay, let's watch one more. It's very hard for me to watch this. This is too boring. A guy just sitting there, that's too boring. Here we have another one.
resources, but the potential for human consumption of goods and services
I always
is
knew
pretty
Kanye was
much
involved.
limitless.
But he's really
This
good.
is the foundation of
fall asleep.
economics. Every study, every
that the
paper,
same guy?
every theory, economic policy or experiment
the same guy?
is ultimately an attempt to find a solution to a problem that by its very nature has no solution.
This video is not about MMT. Okay. Okay. Why game free but tricks? What the fuck? So now we have to listen to a real lesson. He already explained it? Okay, maybe you can explain it again. Because I don't know what to take from this.
contentious. But modern monetary theory has turned my thinking upside down, given it a good shake, and provided me with a truly wow moment. These three boring little words,
360.
modern monetary
That's
theory, are
your
truly
biggest-
explosive. I imagine it's like people felt when they discovered the world wasn't flat, but round. What makes it so radical? Well, for years we have lived by a number of truths or maxims, statements that we consider without question to be economically universally true. Modern monetary theory, or MMT, not only challenges these maxims, it seeks to demolish them completely. For decades we've thought that governments should budget like you and me. They should balance their books and
Medical bill 300. My fucking ass. 718 transportation. Where do you live? What is wrong with you? 2,000 taxes? Per month?
make sure they don't spend more than they've got. After all, spending by government has to be paid for by taxes. Your taxes and my taxes. Or borrowing. Government doesn't have its own money. If governments do borrow to fund budget deficits, that means national debt. And national debt places an unfair burden on coming generations who have to repay it. We're just stealing from our descendants.
It's important to understand this because now you know why cash is king, why you pay taxes, and saving accounts are for suckers.
Worse than that, if we have to borrow, then it's often from foreign countries, and borrowing from foreign countries makes us dependent upon them. But imagine all this is wrong. Imagine that government can and sometimes should create their own money. Imagine that not all budget deficits are a problem. Imagine we really can have many of the things politicians have told us for decades are unaffordable. Imagine that national debt really isn't a problem and we're not at all dependent upon foreigners. These are the alluring promises of modern monetary theory, and this is why it's getting so much attention. Of course, it has its critics. They say MMT is less modern monetary theory and more magic money tree. It's a dangerous fallacy, a theory that at best simply doesn't work.
I feel like this is. I feel like I'm back in my first semester of economics school, and this is the. This is a little. How to say, like a student that's doing this. He's showing this to the class for a grade.
Like the Weimar Republic in the 1920s, Zimbabwe in the first decade of the 21st century, or Venezuela from 2016. We'll be covering 3 core questions in this video. Firstly, we'll ask what actually is modern monetary theory. And in answering this question, we'll be taking a look at what a fiat currency is, so that we can understand how governments
Bro, you could have bought World of Warcraft.
Secondly, we'll ask when governments should apply the lessons from modern monetary theory, and what are the risks.
This is worse than Dota?
Finally, we'll ask if governments are free to create money, then why do they bother with taxes? At the end of this video, we'll also spend about a minute or two.
It pretty much explains why you have to pay taxes. Yeah. But I have more left-wing views about this. Taxes is also a way to distribute wealth from the lower class to the higher class.
Please do like this video and subscribe to my channel. It really helps me, and it'll help other people find this video too. Thank you. So, let's get into the detail about what is modern monetary theory and how it works. Stephanie Kelton is a professor of economics, former chief economist to the United States Senate.
Give it 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There it is. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, I was so good at my job. Every time there's a woman on stream, there's one guy in chat who's like, I'd fuck her. She looks fuckable. Thank you, Max. Thank you for helping me with my joke here.
Committee and
always one guy.
Proponent of modern monetary theory. She describes MMT as first and foremost a description of how a modern fiat currency works.
What is fiat currency?
So to understand MMT,
that's not a fiat, that's a
we
VOD.
need to understand what a fiat currency is. Put simply, a fiat currency is one that is not backed by anything precious or valuable. Remember that for hundreds of years, currency or money was related to something valuable. Notes and coins could be exchanged for something valuable, usually gold or silver, by the bank that had issued the notes and coins. However, this all ended in 1971 when President Nixon took the US dollar off the gold standard. And from that moment on, the historic link with gold was broken and the world entered the age of fiat currencies. So what, I hear you ask? What's so special about a fiat currency anyway? Well, in simple terms, it means that governments can print as much money as they like. In the past, the amount of money...
Well, they kind of can't. Only the US kind of can do that, and maybe Japan.
...would have been limited to the amount of gold held. Crucially, this limit no longer applies. Although we often refer to printing money, in a modern economy, very little money is actually printed.
Europe can do it also in theory.
In the UK, for example,
with the European Central Bank, I guess.
Money is in notes and coins. The rest is held electronically. Money is not so much printed as created on keyboards. Keyboards are like...
What I'm asking myself the whole time, what are the big dangers of this? What could be an exploit of this? What is something evil that could come from this?
Modern gold mines. What all this means is that governments
Inflation
are different
only?
to you and I.
I'm ultra uninformed, but that can't be it. There has to be more.
We are users
There has to
of
be
money.
more.
They are creators of it. And with a...
Let me just yap. I'm just yapping. I don't know anything. Every single dollar on this planet, whether it's in Zimbabwe, the US, Germany, or Japan, is increasingly more likely on a timeline of 100 years to end in the pockets of a member of the top 1%. That's a fact. So the more money you print out of nowhere, the more of this digital fictional money is likely to be part of the wealth gap between 1% and 99%. Wow. Bernie Sanders stream.
Fiat currency in the electronic age. It is very easy and quick to create money.
The great beneficiaries of MMT are on average likely to be members of the rich caste, meaning the good MMT brings is also limited by the inequality it can create. The investors, the owners, benefit from this more likely than lower classes.
So, if
That has nothing to do with
governments
this
are free
topic.
to
I'm just
create
yapping
money,
something, trying to
then
sound
why don't they
intelligent.
just create enough money
I have
to
no idea
do
what I'm
whatever they
saying.
want to? And if they can create money, why bother with taxes at all? The simple answer is inflation. And to understand this, and to illustrate both the potential and the limits of modern monetary theory, we're going to look at two different scenarios. In our first scenario, let's imagine there is a factory making widgets. This factory makes 750,000 widgets a year, which it sells for $1 each to the private sector. However, the factory can produce up to 1 million widgets a year, and there are enough unemployed people available to help make the extra 250,000. In this scenario, under modern monetary theory, the government can create $250,000 and use this money to purchase 250,000 widgets. The factory now employs people, there is no local unemployment, and the government can use the widgets it has purchased for public benefit. After all, the widgets could be supplies for hospitals or schools. All is right in the world, and modern monetary theory has saved the day. Let's now consider our second scenario. Same factory, but this time it's selling 1 million widgets a year already and is at full capacity. If the government creates $250,000 and seeks to buy widgets, all it will do is push up the price to $1.25 per widget. It will purchase 200,000 widgets, and the private sector, which previously was receiving 1 million a year, will now only get 800,000 widgets a year. Not only has inflation been created, but economic output has been diverted from the private sector to the public sector. The lesson here is that
I am so happy I'm a streamer and not at university anymore. I'm so happy.
The amount of money a government can create without causing inflation is limited by the spare productive capacity in the economy.
Okay, that makes sense.
The gap in output between what is
You have to
being
always be careful how much money you create. You have to be careful about that, yeah.
produced and what the economy is capable of producing. Modern monetary theory then
Well, I'm just yapping to make content out of this somehow. Isn't it also scary that the responsibility of the creation of this money lies in the hands of corruptible human beings? Members of the Federal Reserve, the government, people that could do mistakes, that could have greedy ambitions. That could also be a bit scary, right?
Claims that governments can create money.
How is this relevant to me personally? That's a great question I ask myself right now.
As long as there is spare capacity. But if that capacity is exceeded, the consequence is inflation. Earlier, we asked two crucial questions about fiat currencies. Firstly, why don't governments just create...
Trust me, you will thank me. But why will I thank you? Explain that. Why will I thank you? I think what you're trying to do is you want to make me more happy about paying taxes. But I don't think you're going to reach that. I don't think that's going to happen. No, you're not. Well, explain.
Well, we've just seen that they can
Why will I
create
thank
as much
you?
money as they
Well,
do,
you give
as
the
long
100.
as
I
there
thank you for
remains
that.
spare economic capacity. If that is exceeded, then inflationary pressure can build up. This destroys Maxim 1, that governments should budget like households. After all, would you budget like a household if you could create as much money as you like? Governments are money creators. We
improves
are
your
money
political
users.
view.
Secondly, we asked, if governments can just create money,
Does it?
why bother with taxes? After all, people hate paying taxes and they are expensive and difficult to levy, administer.
How does this improve
collect.
my political view?
And this is where it gets mind-bogglingly weird. We have always assumed that to finance public expenditure, the government has to first raise taxes. But modern monetary theory says precisely the opposite. Our MMT expert, Professor Stephanie Kelton, says that the idea that taxes pay for what the government spends is pure fantasy. Exactly, it's mind-bending. But let's step back and have a think. In days past, our current view makes perfect sense. Taxation had to come before expenditure. If a king wanted to build a palace or fund an army, he needed gold. He couldn't create it, so he had to tax to get it. But when we have a fiat currency, when money has no intrinsic value, when it's not backed by anything like gold, there is no need to raise taxes. You can just create money. This still doesn't answer the question, why bother with taxes? Well, from the perspective of modern monetary theory, taxes perform two key functions. Firstly, they ensure that people are prepared to use the government-backed currency. If they are required by law or forced to pay taxes in the state-backed currency,
Thank you, Big Blitzer.
then they have an
Thank you, man.
incentive to be happy to be paid by government or others for providing goods and services. This gives them the currency they need to pay their taxes.
Number two.
Secondly, taxes serve to withdraw money from the economy.
I don't really understand that. Taxes are still important. When I pay taxes in my city of Leipzig, they actually do good stuff with that. If you have two fictional cities, one city makes 10 million taxes per month, one makes 1 million. The one with 10 million will be more prosperous. Better schools, more parks, more, etc., etc.
Creating money puts money in the economy, then taxes take it out. What's important is the net.
I don't know. Sure, but there's a lot of other things that take money, currency out of. Well, it depends how you define it. Taking money out of the public. A lot of money is taken out of the 99% into the 1%. All of you people, most of you, are paying rent. You pay rent to a landlord. That money leaves your class and goes to a different class.
Difference between government spending and tax revenue. The net increase or decrease
You
in
build the
money
parks,
supply.
money create. I don't know if that's true. I think in reality, not in New York City, but in like a German city, a park is built not because someone printed money at the EZB euro. I think they paid a park with literally their budget from taxes. I'm quite sure.
By the actions of government.
I think.
If governments spend more than they raise in taxes, the net impact using MMT will be to inject money into the economy.
But the theory is, now I kind of understand you. You're trying to tell me it will be better for my little German city to just print their own money out of nowhere to buy that park. Now I kind of understand what you're trying to tell me. But wouldn't instantly the counter be, if everyone does this shit from a German city to a city in the Netherlands to a city in the Congo, you have a global mega inflation where all of a sudden we have more currency than ever before on this planet. That can't be healthy.
They tax more than they spend.
I don't
They
fucking
will
know.
be withdrawn.
So then you have to tax higher so the money comes back. So they built a park with fictional money, which my benefit is I have a park now in front of my door, but my monthly income is taxed even higher. So I get a park, but I lose more money in my private life. That seems bad.
Pouring money from the economy. A balanced budget is where spending is equal to taxation. What this means is that if an economy has spare capacity, then a budget deficit will boost the economy and reduce unemployment.
No, because we're going to create more employment. And then we don't have to raise your taxes. But next, do you have enough people to be employed? Is there enough people trained? Is there enough unemployed people?
Conversely, if inflation is rising, then a budget surplus will reduce
We can build
the
10
money
schools,
supply
but we need enough
and
kids for
hence
that school,
inflation.
enough teachers and stuff, right?
The idea that government budgets should always be balanced is, according to modern monetary theory, simply nonsense. The budget should reflect the economic conditions, injecting or removing money from the economy
the autism theory.
to properly manage inflation and unemployment.
Okay.
Let's summarise what we've learned about modern monetary theory. But before we do that, a quick reminder.
It's a bullshit
Please
utopia
like this
scenario.
video and
I
subscribe
think a lot of theories in this world, from philosophy to everything, are a lot of fictional stuff,
my
right? A lot of
channel.
theories
It really
are
helps me
just
and it helps others find this video too. But that's not all. If you get any value from this video, then please consider supporting me on Patreon. For as little as $1
Did your
or
political
£1,
stance
you can
change?
support me to
No.
make more of these
No.
videos, as well as get access to extra features such as full video.
It's a theory,
transcripts.
yeah.
But if you can't afford that right now, it's just enough to
Okay.
like, subscribe.
Oh, now he's doing also his own theory. Okay. I think I owe you one. 21 minutes. We could watch this one. I think I owe him one last. But 20 minutes is a bit fucking... Oh my god. Let's give this guy a chance now. He paid good money for this. And then I think we're good.
Hi, I'm Richard Murphy, and today
Why is everything so low quality, for fuck's sake?
Try to answer one of the big
Come on, people. It's fucking 8 months ago. You don't know much about money then if this is your fucking quality, man. Fucking hell. What the fuck is this quality? Professor of accounting. How about you account for your shitty YouTube quality, man? Jesus fuck.
questions in political economy. Tom's
Okay,
got the question.
last video, guys. Last video.
What you going to ask me, Tom?
The question today is modern monetary theory, or MMT, the
That's you. Big Blitzer is totally Tom. Is your name Tom in real life? That's you, right?
cure for global financial crises?
Look, I'm very educated here. I don't get it, but it can't be. Just printing money out of nowhere seems like a bad idea.
Lots of people have been asking us this question. It was very high on the list of those that people said they wanted us to address.
Okay, let's listen to
so
this.
let's start by asking, what does modern monetary theory actually say? And I think that's really important, because if I don't define this, the rest of the answer makes no sense. Modern monetary theory, or MMT, describes how money really works in what is called a fiat currency economy. Now, a fiat currency economy is one where money is not backed by gold, silver, or any other asset.
So we are currently in a fiat currency on planet Earth, kinda, right?
But is simply legal tender because the government says it is, and that's all there is to the money in the country in question. It's just a promise to pay from the government. In those situations, the government spends new money into existence. That new money is created for it by...
I'm really dumb here. I don't know. But why is gold still valuable then? Why do you still care about gold on planet Earth? Why is gold valuable? Why is someone who owns gold making money from it? Why does gold matter? Because it's shiny. It's inflation free. Microchips? It's shiny. Shiny gold rock. I want shiny gold rock. Because it's scarce.
Central bank, in the case of the UK, the Bank of England, in the case of the USA, the Federal Reserve, and in the case of many European countries, the European Central Bank. But the point is that the money is simply created by that bank and spent by the government for the government to fulfill its obligations.
So I have a weird. I'm the Congo, right? Let's just think for a second. I'm the Congo. My country sucks. I now say I am now creating the Congolese bank, and we will print money and buy a lot of schools. Why can't they just do that? Why is the Congo not the biggest country in the world right now if they do that? I think he will now say in chat, well, if they will do it, they will be. Because no one trusts their money. No one believes in their money, huh? For example, if you like buy a contractor from Germany to build a school, the contractor is like, I don't trust your fake money, but I trust America's fake money. Ah, okay.
In the economy. And then the government taxes. But it doesn't tax to fund spending. As MMT explains, tax has the role of removing from the economy the money that was created to fund government spending, and the purpose of that is to control inflation, because otherwise there'd simply be too much money in circulation. But there's a critical point about this. MMT says that if you understand this, then the goal of the government when it comes to economic management is not to provide financial stability for the money that exists within the economy, because that money is created by the government in the first place. So it has the power to do that by implication of its control over the money supply. Instead, the role of the government is to create full employment and price stability, but not balance budgets. In that case, what MMT is an economic explanation, but it isn't a political prescription. A lot of people somehow seem to think that modern monetary theory is some form of left-wing politics, but it isn't. It's just about an explanation of how money really works.
This is autistic
It
communism?
can be used just as much by a right-wing government as a left-wing government. It does.
Would I still fail? Maybe I'm too dumb. How does this change my life? How does that change anyone's life? I don't...
does allow a government to pursue
understand
a
that.
policy of full employment, but it doesn't require a government to do so. A government could pursue some other goal instead, like
Look at
impoverishing
Discord.
every...
You gifted 100. You deserve that I look at Discord. So when you hear someone yell, we can't afford something, it's always wrong. That's what you're trying to tell me. We can't afford something, it's always wrong.
one in the country the rules. Why it would want to do that, I don't know. But the point is, everything about policy is a choice. What MMT provides a government with is the opportunity for pursuing what I call active fiscal policy, which just means that it uses the combination of its spending and taxation and the difference between them, which is the deficit.
So again, let me just yap. We're almost done here. currently, Germany says we're missing some money. We don't have enough money in Germany. We have to work harder. We have to cut unemployment benefits, blah, blah, blah. Where what you're trying to tell me is if Friedrich Merz of Germany will just apply MMT and take the money from the EZB, Germany will be so good and everything will be fine. But he will create inflation, and he will have to fight that with taxation. So he will have to raise taxes. But if you raise the taxes, you lose your next election and you're fucking gone. Because people will not understand this. That's the problem, Big Blitzer. Even if this works and is great and you're actually correct, try selling this to 80 million people in Germany. They're going to be like, what? What is he? Fuck, what?
To manage demand within the economy. As a consequence, it can also manage inflation. If the difference between spending and taxation is small, it is likely that inflation will be low. If it is large, it is likely that inflation will be higher. And if the difference between spending and taxation is small, there will be little stimulus effect with regard to increasing employment. But if employment does need to increase, then increasing spending in proportion to taxation provides the incentive to create more employment. And that should not, in that situation, create inflation.
This is a theory, it does nothing in reality.
This is a real economic tool. The contrast is with monetary policy, which uses interest rates to try to control inflation and at the same time help a government balance its budgets. Fiscal policy
I can't believe I died in
tends
Kingdom
to
Come
have a
Deliverance,
bias towards the poorest in a community because if the government spends
Liz Truss tried to do this in the UK and she lasted 3 weeks with
more
it.
money into the economy, the poorest tend to benefit most by securing employment or better benefits. In contrast, monetary policy tends to be biased towards the wealthiest because the poorest are the biggest borrowers and they pay more interest, whilst the wealthiest are the owners of the debt that the poor owe.
YouTube videos about this theory make more money than the actual theory.
If monetary policy is used to increase interest rates. When making the choice between these two policies, fiscal policy stands out as the more effective, and the reason why is straightforward. Fiscal policy can be put into place very quickly. Monetary policy takes up to 2 years to have an impact, by when very often the inflation which it is meant to be addressing has disappeared. So fiscal policy should be the government's preference because it is the best.
So he's saying MMT is bad. You should rather do the other thing.
Available to it. But that might require us, and I think
We're almost done
MMT
here.
makes this clear, to rethink the role of some taxes. In particular, VAT, which tends to vary in rate very little under existing policy regimes, might have to vary quite a bit to be an instrument to deliver the immediate tax changes that MMT requires. MMT might also require some form of financial transaction tax, particularly on flows through the bank accounts of larger companies or maybe the wealthy. Basically, charging a tax on their use of money, if necessary, to slow down the
But that's the problem. It's the theory. No one will ever approve this. You want to put a tax on that transaction? They're going to fucking murder
economy
you.
because there's a
There's
risk
no
of
chance.
inflation, or to eliminate that tax charge to encourage greater investment.
It's a nice
But
theory.
those options exist.
But-
It does require a different approach to taxation, and those tools are not there as yet, and I have to stress that's the case, but then that's because nobody's trying to seriously use MMT. So, is MMT a panacea? No, it
A
clearly
what?
isn't. Modern monetary theory cannot fix every problem in an economy.
Okay, nice. He's criticizing it. Okay, I get
For
that.
example, it wouldn't have prevented the inflation that happened after the invasion by Russia of Ukraine, because that was caused by an external source, and the panic in the financial markets about the restriction in the supply of oil and gas that might follow. There was no financial cure, monetary policy, fiscal policy, MMT, or anything else that could have dealt with that, except better regulation of the financial markets. But what MMT does offer is a more accurate understanding of how money works. And that is really seriously important.
Okay, so what we get from this, I
Because that
understand
means it
how money
provides
works a bit more now.
practical
But that doesn't really
tools for
change my life at
managing
all, I feel
economies
like.
in a way that is fairer and more effective. And that's why politicians have to understand MMT when far too few do. Thanks for watching.
Let's fictionally imagine your country suddenly has a politician in charge that really understands MMT. Explain that to the voters, man. You're gonna lose votes. Are not gonna understand this stuff. Okay, cool. Okay. It's a tool for building. Okay. Okay, Blickbitzer. Okay. Let's bomb Iran instead. Okay. Okay. That was nice ADHD training though. Okay. Nice. We learned about MMT. Thank you for 100 gifted subs. That was very interesting. Fucking hell. Okay. I died in Kingdom Come Deliverance. That really hurt. What are we doing next? I don't know. What are we doing next, man? Fuck. I feel like doing one door kicking campaign. Just one. I feel like doing one. Was that one to give the subs an example of MMT? He wants MMT so he can just print money for gifted subs. So wait, 1 second. Let's be fucking idiotic. We're applying MMT to the stream. Every single viewer in chat can suddenly print infinite subs. You are gifting TommyKay infinite subscribers. Okay, let's say 20,000. You made it out of nowhere. What now happens is that I'm now taking all the money you give me because I'm so rich now and I'm creating jobs. I'm hiring 10 editors. So the benefit to society is that out of nothing, we have created 10 jobs. Out of nowhere. And work. But now the problem is, I'm an evil capitalist. And I don't want to pay these workers enough. I want to make the most money out of this. I want you to gift subs, but I don't want to give too much to these editors. So the MMT is going to benefit me much more than them. Because I like to slowly... I'm going to take the fictional money you gave me to buy an island. To buy a car. But my editor, that I'm getting cheap from China, I don't care about his rights. He's getting like minimum wage. Huh. Biden did MMT. He appointed MMT economists to run the economy for him. Didn't save him, but US grew far more than EU during that time. It's a tool for governments, not for capitalists.
Well, it's okay.
And governments are also greedy. They also have human attributes. Okay, cool. That was interesting.
She slipped through my fingers like sand. Heard that she had a man. Now I'm just sitting here sad. Oh well, ship sail. She slipped through my fingers like sand.